what would be a piece of advice, like, stepping on the path, taking, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. What would be one of the first things that you would recommend people doing to want, and of course, there's so many people who want to have these sort of experiences where they're tapping into more knowledge and information and bringing that information back to apply into their lives and share with those around them, as you're doing. How would you recommend, through breathing techniques, through using maybe a substance like DMT, through what would be your recommendations?
Well, I always say that, the first thing should be to cleanse. Like if I could
you mentioned that before, actually. I think we did talk about this a little bit.
We talked about it a little bit, but yeah, if I could do it, if I said, okay, well, what is the proper way to do it? Because many of us don't come in that way. Like, you don't know anything about cleansing most of the time before you have this, Kundalini awakening or whatever. But a lot of the different things that happen during that time, which kind of lead to sometimes Kundalini syndrome, which is well known to be something that can really damper a person's spiritual progress. It really comes from a lot of those toxins in the body and those frequencies like candida and things that are very dominant in the whole spectrum, throwing the person off balance when they have this energy coursing through their consciousness. And so if you could really clean yourself out, it promotes a great experience, because there's obviously ways to induce experiences, but to make sure that you have the best one. I won't even use a term like best. To make sure you have the one that's going to be the most influential to your progress and
the
useful.
Easiest ride, maybe.
There's no easy setting on this, unfortunately. This is a climb uphill, so definitely get yourself ready. But so just going through the cleansing, because it makes. Exactly. And your cleats and everything else, you put your all-terrain on. But yeah, it's because what happens is that when you do remove that stuff, it allows your body to vibrate. Yeah. And then this connects you into the synchronicities a lot more better. And everything becomes more keen and you become more keen, and everything becomes a lot more clear. And then from there, I've never seen anyone that really wanted to grow and expand and ascend, and we're serious about that didn't get it. Yeah. Like in its last 7 years, I don't care what their story was. If they didn't have any money and, they had these horrible parents and, whatever the story was, the moment that they really made that decision in their consciousness, then because it's so strong, this collective, and it's invisible, these are your companions on the path, if you may, that it will swoop you up and put it right in front of your face right when you need it. And it's just about taking that initiative, because it's not about someone doing this for you. And that's why we let this whole religion thing go, waiting on somebody. It's about you making the proper actions, not just thoughts, because thoughts don't have much weight where you're going. So making the actual actions to do something. And one of the best actions is actually the cleanse, because it starts to put the body in check. Because that's the great wild beast. Like, that's the one that you actually have to confront first. Now, this beast, it has a pros and cons. The con of it is it's a beast. The pro of it is it's strong, because beasts are strong. So we've spent how many years putting power into this most of our power into this physical vessel. And it's not just physical, it crosses into other things. Some people just look at the physical body like it's just a physical body, but it all blurs, it all connects together. It's mind, body, soul. So when you go at the body, a lot of what the gonads, which are actually the lower area of the body, it just, like I said before, it kind of sounds like the goons. What they've been up to, which is part of their job, is to first take you out of the crown chakra. Plunder your kingdom, send you down through the chakras, tumbling down the chakras until you slam down into the coccyx, and then the door is shut. And then the gonads then run the body. And that's the body that's run by basically suggestions from the lower areas. Versus when you're in the crown, the gonads could say they want something. This is the desires in the world could say, well, I want to go do this. But it's still wholly up to you to make the choice, because you're sitting on the crown. You're sitting right in the center. So that's the thing that has to happen first, is that you have to kind of, wrestle yourself back. And this is why a lot of the stories that are tied into this and the spiritual stories, they incorporate these different characters like the devil, and all this is just different parts of the body that actually, especially in the organs and the chakra system, that have taken dominance over all the other systems. And instead of there being a balance and a harmony, there's basically there's a totalitarian communist running the entire body. And then what you have to do is summon the courage, break out of the Cossacks with the only thing that's going to really be able to back this thing down, which is Kundalini. Mm-hmm. That's why they show Kundalini as, Kundalini sometimes comes across as bedecked with skulls and not necessarily this user-friendly kind of being, because right. Most of the time it has to come through and do all this dirty work and back down real demons, basically. And demons in this tense are the divided mind. Yeah. And that's actually where the word, even the diamond, all these words come from a dualistic kind of state to where you need to get some kind of mediator going on. Yeah. So this is what I'll say is that, so when you start going on this fast, let's say, because that's a part of the cleansing. Is that
what you would recommend as a fast?
Yeah, man, because it just really lets you see what you're made of. Yeah. How many days you can go in. But, the more that you win these battles, because you're not going to die, it's not going to hurt. And then, you start to really run away. See, because what happens, if people want to know the truth of this, there's actually more things around the average person than just their own stuff. Yeah. They pick up a lot of things like Velcro and hair. Like it just you pick up a lot of things off other people. So you get these, what I call riders, and they could be around for various different reasons and various different arrangements. But what happens is that these are like, they're all for the fun of it. So the moment that there's no fun, they leave. And part of that no fun is not eating, especially certain things, and not just feeding so much of that side of the body to where it's just like pleasure, just like a rat with a pleasure, mouse with the pleasure button. Yeah. When you stop that for a minute, then they're like, okay, he's or she's not fun anymore. And it's literally like that. They will go and find something else. Now they'll come back. And then this is kind of like the 7 times 7 demon thing that was mentioned in the Bible. But they'll come back, but you will hopefully be stronger. And so what I do is I play this game. Like I've set it up, instead of it being so like, because you don't want to make this your worst enemy. Like you don't want to get into this stuff so much to where you just feel like you're losing the battles and you're crying. And, you really want to, when I learned from someone, they said, you don't want to get crazy about this. Just remember, it could become your worst enemy. You want to practice discretion with what you're doing. So anything that I'm saying to people, just don't go crazy on yourself, but
keep it light first and foremost, and don't take things too seriously.
I mean, terrain modification, we call it. There's a process, 6 months if you may, to change your body over, begin to change DNA completely. But, to do it cold turkey is, you can put yourself through shock. But some people need to do that, though. Like it depends on how crazy the situation is and how big the breakthrough that you need. While others have the luxury to kind of space it out. So it's just all about your specific life, but we're giving you both of the options. But again, the thing is to really start to feed the body the things that it really needs. And again, we talk about that in the university. You need to understand your fuels. Like there's different fuels here. There's meat, there's air, they do different things. They feed different things. And the more you push you push your fuel into the thing that you need to balance, that needs to gain balance again, then the more stronger it's going to get. And so that's when it becomes like this whole, you become the alchemist, basically. You're the alchemist of your body. And then you're mixing the formula and you're now aware, because let's just be clear here. No, if you're doing something and it's really, damaging you, it. Now, whether you can stop doing it or whether you think you should or whatever, that's a whole nother thing. But we have this consciousness about ourselves, most of us, that we know when, okay, this is just killing me. It's not great for me. I may not be able to stop it, but I know what it is. Yeah. And so the thing is that setting it up in our minds. And what I did was, personally, I used to, I have these conversations with myself. I mean, remember, it's just you. It's about you fixing this. So I would literally go into my own consciousness and set it up like a whole thing that I needed to overcome, and even a game that I was playing with myself. And I found that when I started doing that, I was able to overcome. But when I started putting into the biblical context and like, you don't do this, you're going to die, you're going to perish, that's a punishment-based system. So we've already seen through history and even through the school curriculums and everything that when you have a punishment-based system rather than a reward-based system, the body and the mind and the soul reacts an entirely different way. So people should understand you're doing this because there are real powers. Like you're talking to a person that even though I can't show them to you on the phone, that broke through completely many different barriers and found that there was this amazing power and ability that we have. So that's the best that I can do is tell you that it is there. You will not be disappointed.